Hello everyone, Zach here from the Carnival of Randomness on behalf of our sponsor, Upsitnik & Associates. In these unprecedented times, we reflect on our future, both in the next few weeks and months, but also the upcoming years and decades. And it's time to prepare for that future. Upsitnik & Associates has been contacted by many healthcare workers, as well as old and new clients, to prepare wills, powers of attorney, and advance directives, also called a living will. All of you need these documents. So don't say you don't have any assets to speak of, no children or other dependents. Regardless of the circumstances now, you will need a will for today and tomorrow. Al Upsitnik feels so strongly about having wills and other needed documents prepared that Upsitnik & Associates can prepare your will, power of attorney, and living will at no charge. You heard that correct. No charge until the end of 2020. No hidden fees or gimmicks. Al feels so strongly about planning for the future at this time that he is willing to assist you with your future. Trust Upsitnik & Associates, attorneys for 42 years, from the Supreme Court to Alaska and everywhere in between. You can find them online, upsitnikslaw.com, on Facebook, Upsitnik & Associates, or call them toll-free 1-866-391-3299 to prepare for your future.
Hi, everybody. It's Carnival of Randomness, and we're coming here on location from Lucky's gas station, which is a portal into other times and dimensions, so we're regular Billy Pilgrims here. And we're lucky. Who did I stumble upon on this? Greg, hi.
How you doing, Rob?
Hi, good. I'm actually going to bring up something. I have not watched a lot of movies lately, but I finally watched Jojo Rabbit last night.
Oh, yeah, Jojo's fun.
I really liked it. And the thing I've always liked, and I find very difficult, I use the word bittersweetness, where you try to do that line between comedy and serious.
Yeah.
And you have something and trying to make it work because it can just be silly. But when you have something it's the light and dark, and I think it worked very well.
Yeah. So I thought Scarlett Johansson was actually amazing in that movie.
I wanted to get my. It's been one of those weeks, so I wanted to just be happy, so I watched Marriage Story.
Yeah, no, her performances between the two, I mean, it really showed some of her range.
It is, and I actually went back, one of my favorite movies, I just like movies about journeys, because that's how I've lived a lot. Like, when you just go out, you never know what happens, and you meet people, and you make a connection. So, Lost in Translation. So I went back to watch that.
Okay.
And I could tell also from travel, the jet lag, because I went back, because when I came back from London, I passed out for like 20 hours, and I was out of it for a week. Okay. So I could see the part about never being able to go to sleep. But I watched her progress.
Yeah. Well, did you ever see The Horse Whisperer?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remembered, I didn't know when I saw it was Scarlett.
Right. So
and she's in one, American.
Ghost World, too.
Yeah. Oh, I love Ghost World. Yeah. Anything Daniel Close writes, it's like one of those things I can really relate to.
Right. And the guy who wrote and directed JoJo, I forget his name.
Oh, he did Thor Ragnarok, T.D. Waka.
Yeah. But
look him up.
Have you seen What We Do in the Shadows?
Oh, I love it. And I guess they did a TV.
I stumbled across that thing.
But some people,
that was like one of the funniest movies I've seen.
Oh, and I guess I guess they pop up. It's some other vampire movie too.
Okay.
But the thing, too, is some people were saying, well, what about Hitler in this? If you're a kid in Germany at that age, you're not going to know what's going on, and it's going to be easy in terms of propaganda. So who are you going to look up to?
Right.
This goof, because, yes, we know, obviously, but you're being taught in school how great this guy is. You have to shut up because you can't speak up. So obviously, that's the thing. So there's no reason to get upset about it. Plus, he gets his in the end. Well, then, and the other thing too is I thought about in terms of how it relates to these times. If you think this year is tough, a lot of people have had it a lot harder.
Yeah.
I've walked through, bombed cities in Warsaw after this when I traveled, and you could see where it was really hit by the war, and all the buildings were destroyed. And we don't have that. We just have whatever this is.
We have just 6 feet apart. So
yeah. So for you, and we have to talk about this besides talking about film. Okay, this year hits. You're in college. All of a sudden, the year changes. What were your thoughts? How did you react?
Oh, when I was in school, I think my biggest worry was I was in school 20 years ago, and then I went back to finish school. It took me a year, and then I think I was
in Virginia, right?
I was in school in Virginia, but at the time when they first shut down, I was actually in Savannah, Georgia. I met my parents down there, and then I was driving back home. I stopped in Charleston, and then I happened to stumble across one of my professors at the barber, which was funny because he's kind of bald, but
can't relate. I can't relate.
But yeah, we because I had read that like UVA had already shut down, and then I think Duke shut down, and then we were just like, if they're going to shut us down and they're saying we're going to be shut down for 2 weeks, I'm like, this disease is not going to run its course in 2 weeks. That's like
I had heard because a couple of my friends were saying, well, by Easter it'll be normal.
I was just worried, like I was taking a design class and I'm like, how's that going to transfer to online? Will it transfer to online? And it's just like, I want to finish and graduate and be done with school. So the professor made a wonderful transition. We did a lot of things, and we just kind of took photographs of everything we were taking and sent them to him, and it was kind of neat. So
I had heard about it, and we've gone through H1N1, swine flu, whatever that is, and I saw it pick up momentum. And I'm figuring, okay, I had a concert to go to in Albany literally about a week before St. Patrick's Day. And obviously in New York City we started hearing about. So I was debating. So I went down there, came home. Then we did a show the next day. And then I talked about doing our next show. It's going to be around St. Patrick's Day. And that's I literally got a haircut on Thursday of that week. And they were literally, it was open, but you waited outside. And they had the mask on. They were spraying up and down the aisle. So we did that. Then everything closed.
Right.
And I remember going to return library books the Monday after St. Patrick's Day weekend, and it was closed. Yeah. And that was it. And then we always sat, and that's when the part about true lockdown was, too, when everything was closed.
Yeah, it was weird. I stayed down there. I was renting a room from a local woman. She worked about 6 days a week. She worked as either a nurse's assistant or a nurse. So it was just basically her dog and me. We hung out, and the dog was like my COVID buddy, and she got me through. COVID.
It's when you're hanging out with your dog during isolation, the dog starts talking to you. You have to worry. Otherwise, it's fine.
She was my super buddy. It was sad to leave her, but I had to come home. So
it's like my dad had a dog. He was stationed in the war. During World War II in Japan in 1946, and he had a German Shepherd, Duke, and I've seen a lot of pictures of them, and he had to leave the dog with the army because he couldn't take it home with him.
Yeah.
You always wondered they'll come back to you eventually. They'll come knocking on your door.
Yeah.
But it was interesting because it's never happened to us, obviously, in our lifetime. How this has gone and how people reacted.
Yeah, no, it's, I don't know. It's our version of the plague, so,
Yeah, that's the thing. But it's like I think a lot of people have had different reactions and have gone. I've always said you have to adapt to your situation, try to make the best of it.
Yeah, it's just what we're given. We got to do what we do.
Yeah, and that's the way I see it. You can either complain, you're not going to make any difference then, and try to get done what you can done. For me, actually, it almost feels like a walkabout where it's like I've had a lot of issues the last years, like dealing with my dad and other things, and I finally got to take a step back and focus what I want to do and get some stuff done.
Yeah.
I've been able to read books, too, that I've had because I can't go to the library.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, just, try to use the situation the best that you can.
But then, like, if you were a time traveler and you showed up back here and you saw people going around wearing masks and everything. Like I said, I was glad the bank opened because I've always wanted to go in the bank with a mask.
Yeah, that's why I'm always amazed at these people in Texas that are complaining. I mean, they grow up worshiping Jesse James. You'd think they'd love to be wearing...
it's awesome.
They'd be able to walk in a bank with a little bandana around their mouth, I mean, it's like they can put their little gun in their holster and...
Think about it. I've always said this for people. We had a protest down on the ridge by me with the anti-mask people.
Yeah.
We had them, and I'm thinking, and I also heard I'm getting gassed on there one time. I heard about these two guys talking about that Mexican there, coronavirus. So the informed public.
No.
But I've said the thing, even if you don't like wearing them, whatever reason, these stores are trying to stay open. People are trying to make a living. Get Instacart or just do it for them. Wear the thing, okay?
Yeah.
You know, have you seen any incidents?
Where people were not wearing... No, I don't go out
I don't go out very much. I'm not good at it either.
Yeah, I'm supporting myself by being an Amazon driver right now. So, it's just me and my truck. And, so it's like I see the people at work, but we all have to wear masks. So, and, I'm living with my parents right now. They're both over 70, so I try not to go out because, I don't want to spend the rest of my life thinking I infected my parents.
I think about that, too. And I don't really, in a way, I don't miss it. I miss some of the music, but I always think it'll return and it'll be better then. Yeah. I've actually thought of doing something solitary like that, like driving for Amazon. Yeah. That's the one thing. I do tell the time on my street by the Amazon trucks. Yeah. So... But have you been diving into any films while you've been...
You mean watching films?
Yes.
Well, actually, when I first got home in the summer, I started watching The Sopranos. So I watched The Sopranos all the way through because I just wanted to watch another TV series. And then lately, I've been comparing shot setups with different action movies. I compared Taken with Bourne Identity, and then I threw in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. And then I kind of took a side tour because I found out there was a couple Ang Lee movies I hadn't seen. I found Billy Lynn's Halftime Walk, which I knew about, I couldn't find, but I found it on Amazon. And then Taking Woodstock, which I always thought for some reason was a documentary. I watched that for the first time. Have you seen that? Do you know that? Oh, that's charming. It's about this family, this Jewish family in Woodstock that's going broke, and then the kid who's overseeing everything decides he's been put in charge of the town council, and he kind of organizes everyone to come and perform in Woodstock. So it's absolutely really kind of funny. Melda Stanton plays the mother.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of who else is in the movie. The one guy from Eugene Levy, he plays a neighbor who owns a cow farm. He's in it. Who is the guy who was married to Naomi Watts? Lev Schreiber. He plays like a drag queen that comes out who's an ex-Marine and decides to act as a bodyguard.
I'll have to watch this.
It was a very clever movie. It's probably the funniest movie Ang Lee
I did back in old television just because I have them. I had my sets of the Mod Squad. I'm going to actually go back to watch Veronica Mars next, I think.
Yeah.
The Avengers. This is the Avengers with Steed and Peel, not the...
Yeah, my latest addiction is actually Ancestry.com. So we've been
that's a cool one.
No, so we've been exploring our family, which was kind of neat because we got to learn a lot about my dad's family, and you find all these different people.
We always have, my mom said, we had the classic relative who back in Europe, supposedly we were related to some count, and that he kept saying he was going to go back and collect his dowry and his money. One of those.
Right.
So we don't know if that's true or not. But I've been really getting into... I became obsessed with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
No, I love that movie.
And I've been calling Tarantino's films, they're almost like fables or fairy tales.
Sure.
They're not... people will go, well, Inglourious Bastards wasn't historically accurate, nor was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Sure.
It's not the point.
Right, sure.
And I think it's a tribute to these, but it's a fable. That's why he says Once Upon a Time. Yeah. It's a story, and it's about a bygone era or a genre.
Well, he's a big Leone fan, and I don't know if you've seen Once Upon a Time in the West.
Yes.
And then, I know he encouraged Rodriguez to make Once Upon a Time in Mexico, kind of to form his, the same thing that Leone did with the Spaghetti Western trilogy.
And I had heard that his favorite movie of all time is The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
It's possible.
That's what he said, and I just know I saw it at the Eastman, the cut that's over 3 hours.
I've seen Once Upon a Time in the West at the Eastman, but I've never seen... that's another one.
They said, I don't know, the person who introduced said it was Tarantino's favorite movie. And I just remember I should have had that drink before it started because I was patting my leg going, Clint, blow the bridge up, please. I don't want to run out.
I lived in Hollywood for a little under 4 years, or L.A. anyway, and I worked on set for that time, and it's just watching that movie, you really appreciate it if you've just been on set. I was actually on set with Tarantino.
Oh.
So, because I was working on CSI for a year, and he shot 2 episodes of CSI that year. So it's just, when you've been on sets like that, and it's just, and all the people there, and all the weirdos in LA too. So
Even hearing the stories, like Colin Baker told the story about the two doctors where they pranked Nicola Brandt, where he splashed her with water, and it was a real serious scene. So when they showed the movie, everybody bursts out laughing because they know what he did to tease her, because she was tied up, and he splashed her with water. You don't see it in the two doctors. He did it on a take.
okay.
So, but everybody saw the behind the scenes. But that's always cool when you have insight information on that.
Yeah.
And, you try to incorporate different styles and find your own, too. So one thing we'll talk about, Fringe Fest is happening in a way.
Yep, Fringe Fest is coming up, so September 15th through September.
And we're doing it virtually, right?
Virtual on. I had heard they were going to do some things live, but I don't know. I haven't. Really.
I would figure maybe in terms of music, just outside, maybe like they've done on Chestnut or by the Little, maybe just have limited crowds. You'd have to look for information. I'm sure there's a site up by now.
Yeah. So.
I can't see ticketed events, obviously, or...
No, I don't know. That part I don't know. I've been focused on, we basically, all of a sudden they told us, the film that I was submitting, that has to be closed captioned, and we had subtitles already made for the film, and then we were like, how does this translate, and what kind of files do we need? So
readable ones, too,
That's basically, oh, yeah, well.
One of my just a pet peeve of mine, I'd rather watch subtitles than dubbing, but, for example, The Emperor and the Assassin, they had the subtitles in yellow. I couldn't read them.
Oh.
I just couldn't read them because they were just so back against the film.
Sure.
So I'm straining, going, I can't really read this.
Yeah, if they put a outline around the word.
Yeah, so much bad print maybe or something.
I watched them; they look readable to me. So
maybe what I got was just a bad.
I don't. No, not that movie.
Oh,
I just meant the movie, my movie.
Oh, when I watched it, didn't have the.
Yeah, right. Sure.
I could whatever. The one thing I couldn't turn it back either. So I'm I have to remember this. I've seen the other cut. So you've had how many cuts of this?
4 cuts of the movie over 10 years.
Is this somehow going with the title 3.14 where it's going to continue and continue?
I am at ease with this cut. This is actually most of these adjustments we had in 2014, but we sort of got sidetracked with other projects, and then finally in 2018 we started to pick it up again.
And as a director, are you a pain in the ass as an actor to work?
You mean I'm a pain in myself?
Yeah.
Well, my co-star actually.
Well, you were Lewis, Richard, and one other guy.
Lewis, Rick.
I suck with names.
Billy, Rick.
And I had my notes on my phone, and I erased them. So I was going, I'm not going to remember the names. I could go, the guy with the thing in the sunglasses?
Yeah. Well, my friend Russell Rinker, who played the caretaker, he also was doubling me when we were together.
I tried to look for that. I like that.
He was actually one of the other things I hired him to do is when I was acting, it was just me. It was to have him direct me. So you can ask him whether or not I'm a pain. So.
You fired yourself.
Yeah.
But this is a really good movie, and it's very different.
Yeah.
And I think there's 2 themes in it. One, you'll see there's a lot of the Greek themes about our futility in life and things and the idea of 3.14. It's like a circle. 3.14 never ends. It's pi. At least we don't think it ever ends. We never got that way. How events come, not chance, but events in life come throughout life. They interact.
Yeah, they're just...
And we're sort of futile in life with things. It's like Sisyphus trying to do the boulder.
Yeah. So.
And I caught a little Billy Pilgrim, though, too, from Slaughterhouse 5, because you're going through, back...
Okay.
Jumping, unstuck in time a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah.
So.
But do you want, people to see this and sort of, you have an idea you want them to take out, or do you want them just to form their own opinion?
No, I think I would rather have them watch it, and it'd be like a work of art, and even if you don't,
but those
if
donkeys,
you can't make a specific interpretation, just take what you want.
I always love, because, things I've done, I always try to put those little nods. I caught your Wizard of Oz homage with the socks.
The socks. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, well.
First thing I saw, it's where's the house?
Yeah, I found the socks. I was working in a restaurant in a mall, and one day I started walking around the mall looking for things I could put into the movie, and I found those socks. So I think it was at a Halloween store.
But and I also liked because in Repo Man, one of the gags I really liked in it was, if you go to the refrigerator, nothing's labeled. It's just food.
And
everything. And I like the signs where you have the signs with the bike or the mules.
Sure. This is what it is, man. So, Yeah, I just, with the road signs, it was just kind of like the signs were talking back to them. And
How was your writing process? How about long did... where did the ideas sort of pop in your head first?
It's
and
kind of a
germinate?
trite thing, actually. I have a friend I went to undergrad with, but he was actually a grad student. He was getting a PhD in applied science, but we stayed friends over the years, and then he called me up one day, and he's like, I had this neat dream, and he told me the dream, and I was like, Jesus, that's like really good. Now, I didn't make a direct translation of it. So the original script was just the desert part. I wrote it as a short. And then when I found all the locations, I wanted to shoot the movie. But then I was living in LA at the time, but then I'm like, I need to move home. So I moved home for a while. And some people convinced me, if you can turn it into a feature, turn it into a feature. So I tinkered with things. Obviously, the structure's a little unorthodox, but that's kind of what I like about it. And then
It jumps around.
yeah, it does jump around.
You can follow it after you get down to the rhythm of it.
Sure. I wanted it to jump around less than like Memento did. When I remember watching.
And how the characters
I remember
interact,
watching
for
Memento
example,
the
like
first.
you have one character, and then you have the little kid go by on the bike, then other people see him.
Sure.
It's like almost like chaos theory, where it's running into. Because follow 3.14 and also the Greek myths, they'll tell you a lot, I think, about what it's supposed to be about.
That was one of the biggest challenges we had in the film. It was for me.
You taught me how to pronounce Ixion right, because I knew it was Ixion's wheel, but I can never pronounce Ixion, so thank you. I knew the myth, but I didn't pronounce it. It's like,
well, you're one of the few that know that myth. So, I forgot the question you just asked me.
Doesn't matter.
I don't know. Oh, I think you were talking about accessibility and the myth and everything.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah, I think that was one of the biggest challenges with this film.
I said watch the 3.14 in the myths. They'll give you a little hint about what's going on.
It was for me to figure out how much I needed to give people help in interpreting the film, and that's probably one of the reasons why we had so many.
And I also like it's one of those little kicks where if you're in a town too and you see the scenes and you know where they were, like when we've done films, this is where it's filmed down at Village Gate. I see that, and there's good old Dogtown.
Yeah, no, we shot half the film in Saline Valley, Death Valley, Lone Pine National Park. Actually, if you watch Django Unchained, they used a lot of the similar locations. They shot in Alabama Hills in Saline Valley probably about 8-9 months after we were there to show you how long ago we were filming. So.
And I was going to ask you that because my dog had a pee during the credits, so I went outside. So I came back and I wanted to see where it was filmed. And I saw, it's like, where did you film this desert stuff? It's like, do we have a desert somewhere around here? Yeah. And I caught this Canandaigua and everything, but I didn't see that part.
The desert, we're going to have Lone Pine, California. So that's where the Alabama Hills were. We shot in some areas around Lone Pine. Then we shot in a part of Death Valley National Park. It was Saline Valley. That's where the hot springs were. That's also where the cabin was that we converted into the gas station. So
keep an eye out for snakes.
Yeah.
Keep an eye out. Did you see any out there?
No. It's actually really hard to see a rattlesnake.
Yeah, and they want to leave you alone, too.
Yeah, but I did a lot of hiking when I lived in California, so I ended up, I think I saw about 6 rattlers. I think the coolest one I was living in Glendale, and I'd walk up through the hills, and I was walking along like a gorge, or I don't know, whatever the channel is they used to funnel water down to prevent flash flooding. And I'm walking along, the path is right next to that, and I hear something, and I'm like, what the heck is this? And I just hear this commotion. So I jump up onto the ridge, and I look over, and on the other side there's this thing swinging back and forth, and it was actually 2 6-foot rattlers. And I don't know if they were mating or they were fighting, but I watched those things because I'm a bird watcher. I have binoculars on me, and it was like, that's pretty cool.
I like sitting. That's something I always feed the birds every day. I'm one of those people. I go spend money on the good seed, peanuts, put them in the backyard, and I sit there and watch. So, and what I like is,
do you think they have like a bird catalog? They're like, oh, let's go to Rob's house. He's putting out
you know what? The mourning doves do. The mourning doves are snobs because we have mourning doves that go around the neighborhood, and if you don't put the quality treats off, they blow you off. Yeah, but I also noticed like this morning,
like the kids at Halloween.
This morning, I'm pretty set in my habits. You notice like you get into sort of a routine. So I feed my dog, go for a walk, come back. I will. So about the time I feed them, it's about the same time every day. Now they're sitting on the deck waiting. They're out there.
They're just waiting there for
They're
you.
waiting. It's like, come on, serve it up.
Where is it? So, yeah.
And Blue Jays are, I see like one Blue Jay.
Blue Jays like peanuts, so if you want to...
They come down, they will scoop them, run off, and
Yep.
take them.
If you want to track Blue Jays,
But one of them was
start
the...
giving peanuts with the shells.
They do. They'll put them in their mouth, maybe take 2, fly up. And you can train them in the backyard where if you throw it to them, they will come down, scoop it, go back up, and come down.
Yeah. I heard in Holland that they trained crows to pick up cigarette butts. And then they have like a dispenser. If the
That's
crow
awesome.
drops the cigarette butt into this mechanism, it'll release food. So, I mean, crows are pretty smart. And we have a lot of crows around.
Yeah, and with grackles.
Yeah.
But the Blue Jays, a couple of them were fighting about it. There's another one who was just picky, who just kept sitting there sniffing every one and taking the one it liked.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen any orals this year. Every now and then you see something different.
Yeah.
But it's a cool hobby, too. It's relaxing. I think a lot of walking in the woods during this stuff has been very good.
It's a good time. I wish I work a lot. I'm working about 50 hours, so I don't have a lot of free time. But I would have loved to have picked up fly fishing. I've always wanted to fly fish. I've never caught a trout. It's like...
No, we used to go down by Braddock's Bay. Just there was a thing in a comic book where you got all these things, lures, and go... And I struggled with the bullhead one time, but I think it would be very zen. It would be very relaxing to go out there and just sit there all day and just, watch the tide, like dock of the bay or something, be quiet and catch them or release them or whatever else, which would be cool. Because I think there's been a little bit of peace during this. I know we're having the chaos ensued around June,
right.
But before that, it was almost like I enjoyed the silence.
Yeah, no, it was pretty quiet time, so... And it was neat. You'd see more people, at least I see it now, more people seem to be walking around the neighborhood.
Yeah.
They kind of go out and take walks. So,
But the thing was, too, movies were closed and everything. They still are.
Yeah, I'm it's like doing my top 10 list this year. It's going to be tough because I haven't seen anything. Other than Invisible Man, if you haven't seen that, watch it.
I want to.
That is a creepy movie. And I think it's amazing because to me it's like... It's almost metaphorical in the sense that even though it's this guy who's literally invisible, he's developed this invisible suit and he's stalking his ex-girlfriend. But at the same time, to me, it was metaphorical where it's like your memories in your brain. You know what I mean? How they can keep creeping in and bothering you. So
and anything, especially if somebody's like that, you go in your house and something might not have been moved, but you think it might have been, and you look and go, uh-oh.
Yeah, so that's my recommendation so far this year, but that's only to like the beginning of March. So
it's been a little technical stuff too in terms of directing. Now, when you do the script, you have the script. Do you want actors to pretty much follow what you've done, or do you welcome a little improv?
No, I will totally. I think it's a bad idea to restrict an actor. So it's a combination, at least from what I want from a director. I like a director to have a good idea what they want when they come in, but at the same time, they have to be open, and because I think there's a creative exploration. You want to utilize everyone's creative.
And suppose like you get somebody like you think is probably perfect for a role too, and you just say run with it. If they even run in a different direction,
no, I will totally
cool.
tell. Like especially just do what you want in this particular. And if they're off the mark or way off the mark, then I may.
You can always
like
say
some directors don't like to tell people specifically what to do, but when you're on a film set and it's like, time is money on that. It's just like I got like in a couple scenes like. Especially the Dogtown scene, the girls were kind of off the mark. So finally, we were just like, boom, 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 just say it right like that. And so we kind of blended it when we cut it. It was like a blend of how they did it and a blend of exactly how I told them to do it. So it was fun to edit back and forth between the two different interpretations.
And people don't get the technical stuff if you've never done a movie or been on a set. You have your marks.
Yeah.
You have to recut. Now, there's a scene for a movie Getting Personal, and I had a cameo in it. My friend Beth Bailey did it. It's about a series of people going on first dates.
Okay.
So there's a couple, and they let us use, I don't know the name of it, was a place in Mendon. They did catering. It was a restaurant. They let us use it after hours, and it took 4 hours to do the one meat scene. And I remember we had the dessert, and I called it the Leaning Tower of Pisa, because you can't eat it or anything.
Right.
But it's like it's a lemon thing. It looks like a little tower. If you watch carefully, it took 4 hours. It starts to lean.
Okay. Wow. It was a pizza?
We call it the Leaning Tower of Pisa. It was like a a lemon something, like a lemon custard, and the way it stood up, but it started to get hot, so it was started leaning.
It's a great restaurant name, Leaning Tower of Pizza.
Yes, I think there's got to be one.
There's got to be one.
There's got to be
We're
one.
gonna go
But it's
to
just
there.
the idea of filmmaking, getting involved with Beth and doing those and learning the background of it. It's really cool. People don't realize the technical aspects, the shots.
Yeah, I came from a theater background, so it was an adjustment to like all of a sudden we start doing films, and a lot of it can be laborious, and you'd be amazed at how boring it can be sometimes.
Oh, that's only 4 hours for one shot. It's not all glamour.
Yeah, you're just...
I'd like to ask MJ about that too, because she's jumped between both worlds a lot. And on theater, you do it, you just keep going. Here, we have to say, you might have, if you have a Stanley Kubrick type, you might have 120 takes.
Yeah, I was on the set of Collateral. It was a Michael Mann movie, and
Tom Cruise and
I think we were like at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, and he was just doing this hallway shot, and it was just take after take after take, and we're like, oh my god, man, finish the darn film.
Doesn't they get you a little bit, like, suppose you went to see, like, with friends to see Collateral, and they're watching the film, you get to that scene, they see you just put your head down, and they're, well, it's not that bad, it's just a hole.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's...
That's cool, though. And like one of the things I've been doing with my friend Kim Draham, because you mentioned that I don't know what our 10 list will be this year.
Yeah, it's really gonna be. I mean, I was really looking forward to seeing Tenet, or however you pronounce it.
Tenet. I can pronounce it Tenet after David Tenet.
It's probably Tenet. So, yeah.
Anything Christopher Nolan does.
I consider him right now to be the best filmmaker. It kind of jumps back and forth between 3 people for me. And but he's been kind of on fire lately for me, and I was looking forward to seeing it, and I don't know when I'll see it. So.
Well, one thing Kim and I did, and I don't believe in doing lists really, but suppose they came to you from the little and said, well, we're going to have sort of a film fest, sort of indie, but whatever you want. What would be a couple films you want people to see you think they haven't seen, they might like?
In like the last 20 years?
Whatever the heck you want, whatever you want. Because Kim even chose like Bride of Frankenstein. We both took Wings of Desire.
A movie a lot of people haven't seen, I love to give to people, is In America. I don't know if you've ever saw that movie. It's a Jim Sheridan movie. Jim Sheridan directed like In the Name of the Father and The Boxer, a couple movies.
It's about the gangs.
Which, In the Name of the Father or The
No,
Boxer?
I know. I've seen The Name of the Father.
Right.
The Boxer.
Yeah.
So.
But in America, it actually takes place in the 80s, and it's about an Irish family that emigrates to New York City. The father's an actor, and they're overcoming the death of the youngest child. It was a boy, and Samantha Morton plays the mother. Paddy Constantine plays the father, and then I can never pronounce his name, Dimshim Husu.
I know the guy.
Yeah. He plays the neighbor. He's an artist.
You've seen him.
He was awesome in the movie, but it's a beautiful, beautiful movie. A lot of people just have never seen that film. So that's one. The same year, actually, a movie came out that I'd love to recommend to people, which is Girl on the Bridge. I don't know if you've ever heard of this.
Yeah.
Girl on the Bridge.
I've heard of Lulu on the Bridge.
Girl on the Bridge, or Jean Fils de la Ponte, it's a French film directed by Patrice Leconte. And the main actress is Vanessa Paradis, who was like the mother of a couple of Johnny Depp's children. And it's just it's all shot in black and white. It's such a beautiful...
Oh, I've seen it. I think I have it on tape somewhere.
She plays this nymphomaniac who's suicidal, who gets develops this platonic relationship with a circus knife thrower, and it's just such a neat movie. So
one of the ones I always go on about, nobody seems to have seen, is Legend of 1900.
I haven't seen it.
It's
either.
a film. Here we go. Yeah. It's around 1990ish, and you can probably find it. It's got Tim Roth stars in it. It's got Pruitt Taylor Vince in it, and it's about a man who was born on a liner, cruise ship, and he never leaves. Yeah. He just grows up like sort of being a little rat on it, and he becomes a great pianist. And it's just the whole story of it. And he has a relationship. He's almost going to leave, and I forget who the actress is in it. But he's going to walk out, but he never does. Mm. And it's different. There's like a couple really neat scenes when he's playing the piano, and the piano's on wheels, and it's going around. It's one of those where you think, okay, you came up with this plot. It's just really different and really good. Yeah. And it's out there, I'm sure.
What was it called again?
The Legend of 1900.
Okay.
It's got one scene. It's like, I'll only say two words, fuck
Tim
jazz.
Roth. So it was pre-Pulp Fiction. Probably.
Yeah, it was around 1990.
I did, what's the Rosencrantz and
Guildenstern with Gary Oldman, right?
Yeah, it was directed. That was Tom Stoppard directed that movie. Probably wrote it.
And
obviously.
Gridlocked.
Yeah.
I always liked, but it's a very good movie. I've always really liked that. And I did go back to Werner Herzog with the Geary Wrath of God, just because it's one of those that
I haven't seen that either. You're throwing me for loops. So
this is actually was about a conquistador, and I guess he was quite the madman. And they went down. His quote was, he killed his own daughter in real life, and he said, better that she be dead than a nobleman's mattress.
Right.
And he ends up going down the Amazon and just getting madder and madder, more insane.
Yeah.
And I guess he was screaming down the river, I am the wrath of God. And it's Klaus Kinski, of course.
Yeah.
So I see there are plenty out there.
Yeah.
But that's a good one, too. It's like, I always like those. Actually, you ever have a film, and I just popped in my head just because of like foreign films, that really just made you go, give you nightmares or grossed out or anything?
Like freaks me out.
You know what
always still haunts me is I probably saw it when I was like 6 or 7 years old. It was Star Trek Wrath of Khan, and they put those little things in the ears. That to my day, that still makes me.
That to me, that movie. I used to read Starlog, and we sort of heard what was going to happen. I remember that day. Remember the theater on Stone Ridge.
Okay.
My friend and I, my parents dropped us off.
Did you grow up in Greece, or?
I grew up in the city, then Gates.
Okay.
So my friend and I went down to see it. It sold out. So
Wrath of Khan?
It's Stone Ridge. So we got tickets, and we went, hung around. There's like a pizza place. And I'll never forget the story. The guy said his pet duck got in his pants while he was asleep. I still can't forget that story. It's like, okay, how can you make this up? So we go back. We got tickets for like the show after. We come back.
Yeah, sure.
Literally, at the end, people were sobbing.
Oh.
Literally, people were just crying all over the place. You could hear the theater. And I was like trying to say, he's alive.
I don't remember the movie that well. I just remember the little things they put in the ears.
Well, the things were disgusting, but I mean, Spock buys it at the end. That's why.
I kind of remember it, but I was so young when I watched it.
And I remember Starlog saying there were letters people were very emotionally attached to. They felt like this is a real death.
Right.
And it was just like the pub. But the one that grossed my friend Kevin Wilcox, and we had to go see it, Pasolini. If you've ever seen his Arabian Nights, I think it's great.
Okay.
But Salo, 120 Days of Saddam. For a while, you couldn't get a hold of it. I see it's back out on video because there were right problems. And what it was about, to put it this way, somebody ran over Pasolini afterwards because they were so angered by this movie, then backed up to run him over again.
Right.
It was about Nazis who get a castle in Italy and they torture people. And I would say now, this day and age is pretty tame. There's more talk, but there's gross stuff. And I remember my friend Kevin, he goes, man, that one guy with the eyes, I had nightmares about him.
Yeah.
But it was very controversial for the time. It's one of those. And it is, there's some parts at the end that just make you want to.
Yeah, it's amazing when you, you find out, what was controversial at the time, and now you watch it, and it's, really tame. It's just how much of an immunity the audience has built up. So we get that with theater. You'll read, how something was, really controversial back in the early 1900s, and then all of a sudden you look at it, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, we look at these perspectives.
Yeah, so...
But you go the different ways where you see some things obviously back there that, in times now, wouldn't fly in terms of racism and everything else. And I've always said the most racist character I think I've ever seen was Mickey Rooney's character in
Breakfast. Well, they pointed that out in the Bruce Lee movie. He went to that with his girlfriend.
Yeah.
They were watching Breakfast at Tiffany's. I don't know, it was dragging the Bruce Lee story. So they actually go watch Breakfast at Tiffany's.
That's actually, a lot of my friends say the favorite scene, because I actually laughed my head off at the end of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the whole Manson scene. I was dying.
Yeah.
But a lot of my friends like the Bruce Lee scene.
Yeah, well, they wouldn't. I think that they wanted Tarantino to cut that out to show it in China, and he wouldn't, so. Yeah. So.
That's my phone going
That's
off,
your
which
phone?
doesn't.
All right.
That's always Carnival of Randomness. It doesn't matter. But that's the funniest scene, and everybody, you don't expect it either because Bruce Lee's built up so much.
Right. So, it was a great scene.
No, Bruce did not get knocked over. And that's the thing. He brought everything into that time. You really felt the time period.
Yeah. No, I think he did a great job. I was amazed at some of the areas of Hollywood that had to be shut down to shoot that. Like, it was just... It's kind of like La La Land, where they, like, it shut down an entire freeway. It's like traffic's bad enough there, and now we've shut it down to shoot 10 hours of a movie.
Well, I guess when I have movies of the summer I seem to watch every year, and one of them is American Graffiti.
Okay.
And I'd recently read the bio of George Lucas, and they said they shut down whole roads, and they got all the classic cars to put on there.
Yeah, it's really neat. I got to work on The Aviator. It's like doing a period piece can be so amazing because you almost kind of feel like you're set back in that period.
So. I really like The Aviator too.
Yeah.
That's not one of the ones Scorsese gets a lot of credit for.
Right.
But I liked it. The other thing about that too is, can you imagine being bombed? Like, guys are buzzed, they're out on night on the town, and they walk onto the set and they don't realize, and they're back in the 1930s.
Yeah.
That would be a movie in itself.
Right.
That would be funny. But in terms of stereotypes, too, another really bad one, there's a very old Wizard of Oz. It's got Oliver Hardy as the Cowardly Lion.
Okay.
And if you want a racist character, there's a character called G. How Black who sits in a field with a watermelon.
That's in Wizard of Oz?
It's an early Wizard of Oz. I think you can find it online.
Okay.
And Oliver Hardy is the Cowardly Lion. It's
Okay.
like a short. It's a silent film.
Sure.
But that was just, I saw that, and I just was shaking my head going, oh, man.
Yeah, it's just...
But in terms also of art, you wonder how much limited we have now, because if you can't do anything without fear of offending people,
Well, I mean...
comedy's will go down the drain.
Yeah, it's in that weird mode, so it's just, a matter of what someone's willing to, do and see how it responds. So.
Well, it's like Tarantino, for example. He uses a certain word awful lot in movies.
Yeah, he loves to make fun of race. So I mean,
that's the thing people don't get, and especially like if you do Django Unchained. What do you think people talked about?
Yeah.
Then,
Nice.
I think the way he does it, nobody would call him a racist.
Yeah. No, I think he's gotten a lot of flack, especially with. I know Spike Lee was like really riding him after Jackie Brown.
And I thought somebody came up to Samuel L. Jackson about some movie and complained about it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, it's hard to do something controversial without offending anyone. You know what I mean? You're always going to offend people. So.
And actually, if you've seen Kingsman,
yeah,
I thought the villain there when he pulled out the Big Mac, Samuel L. Jackson, that villain was one of the funniest villains I've ever.
Oh man, I don't remember. But I do remember watching Kingsman. So
he's in there, and also those are actually pretty funny movies. Have you been? Think you could eventually? We're not going to have it. I've been talking to Mary a little at Blackfriars, and in terms of theater, we're pretty dead now. You see yourself going back now again?
To do with
King.
Well, it's tough for.
For now, it's not.
Well, even with since I've been back in Rochester, it's always been a lot of my jobs have been at night, so. That makes it difficult with rehearsal. But I'm looking to go to grad school right now, so I think it's going to be tough for me to do a play before I go back.
In terms of school, too, I've heard, obviously schools are going to be open. And I'm hoping for the best. I know if I was a college student, I've heard some say they're almost going to be prisoners in their dorms, and I don't see how you're going to keep them from partying and doing all this stuff.
Well, I don't need to party anymore, so I think,
And I do know, because I do some stuff on St. John Fisher with the history department, that I know they opened in August. They're going to stay till Thanksgiving. I know it's going to be trying to limit class sizes.
Yeah.
So
well, I'm shooting for fall of 2021, so I'm hoping a lot of this is passed.
Oh, that's all we can do. You were giving the updates a lot of times for us, and you just stopped.
You just think of like all the different places in the world where it can linger, and then all those people traveling back and forth. It's like you almost think that this can drag out for another 5 years. So that's just kind of...
And it's interesting perspectives, too. We had Victoria Rumler on the show, and she's lived in France for the last 20 years. So I'll go back a little bit, actually jumping around. Kevin Smith did that movie Tusk, and there's a scene in it where they're looking for the serial killers in Canada. So Johnny Depp's a detective from Quebec. He pulls out guns, and he tries to give them to the people, and they won't take them. The one guy's like, I don't want it. You don't want guns, but you're American.
Right.
And I guess in terms of France, they announced it. They said to wear masks. Everybody did.
Right.
In terms of like Asian countries, what they said that you had a sign some places when you were going out.
Right.
Nobody complained.
Right. Well, I mean, we think no one complained.
Well, in terms of that we know of, but in terms of it wasn't as seems like a big deal as here where we have the Illuminati taking away your rights and there's all the divisions and everything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. It's just something we got to deal with.
Yeah, I know. Are you looking to also? Do you have any future film projects down the line? Are you open to that?
No, I've like written in some capacity at least 3 other scripts.
How's it taken in terms, and also for filming 3.14?
Yeah.
How long did it take you about?
We shot that in 16 days.
That's incredible because I do know, like some films I've been involved with, indie films, it's taken a couple of years.
Yeah, no, we it wasn't 16 straight. We did 2 shoots in August in 2010, and then we shot for 6 straight days in October. That was the majority of the Rochester stuff, and then I think we shot 6 days in California, and then we had some pickups where we just shot odds and ends stuff, and that was 1 day. So that's 1, 2, 6. I'm probably missing another pickup day, so it was 16 days.
That's
though.
great. In
Yeah,
terms
no,
of
we were working at breakneck speed. So I mean, when you do that, sometimes you wish you had like some more takes, some more angles. But I'm very happy with the look of the film. So.
I had seen the director who directed Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter and Harry Knuckles and the Pearl Necklace. He appeared at the Eastman. He's Odessa Films. I have not been able to find the website anymore, but he said he's talking about how they filmed, and it took over 2 years because he said people worked. We had to film on the weekends.
It's better just to have all the money and shoot right through.
Or then you lose money. Like for us, we got sick of going, sometimes going for fundraising, you'd have to shut down, start again.
Yeah.
That's the part I don't like. I like about writing is that you can do it whenever you want.
Yeah.
Here you have to raise the money, and
film is expensive, and it's harder to get a return on your investment now because there's it's neat. Digital's made it affordable to make a film, and it's given us a lot of different venues. With streaming, people can get their film seen, but it's I think maybe I'm not the best person to speak of it. It's harder to get a return on your investment, so it's the good and bad of both. So,
and I know like Kevin Smith said that for a while he retired because he said that, well, if you don't have a film, with at least a $50 million budget, we can't even compete. It's like you have to make so much. If your film costs $4 million, you have to make so much back with ads and everything. But he's still making films, so I think where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, they'll come up with an excuse not to do something, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Well, I want to make a movie." So,
but isn't it amazing now? It's like, well, this movie only made $500 million. It's a flop.
Yeah,
isn't it amazing?
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a couple different levels of success. It's like just making a good movie, period, and how much money you get a return on.
I think also it's like make something good. Hopefully they will find it.
Yeah,
there'll be and I think now also, as you said, it depends what you before. Maybe you couldn't find anything. Now, okay, you like foreign films, you like something different. You can go out there and find it now.
Yeah,
it's amazing with stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of gotten into this habit on Amazon. Not that everyone wants to throw more money at Bezos, but it's just, if there's a movie I want, I type it in, and it's like rent it for $3, and boom, I sit there.
I finally found
the
final program. It was a movie called The Last Days on Earth in America. It's based on a Michael Moorcock.
Yeah.
It's like, it's messed. It's just hard to even explain, but I've been wanting to see it. Lo and behold, there it is. Yeah. It was just under the final program.
Right.
And I guess Moorcock hated it, so... But it's cool having you on.
Yeah.
And hopefully Fringe Fest information, it's about the 15th of September. Right?
Mine will be my movie's 3.14. It'll be playing probably for 9-10 days at Fringe Fest. I don't know how it's going to. It'll be streaming. I don't know whether it'll be right through Fringe or right through the RIT. It's part of the RIT showcase. We were supposed to be playing at the Little Theater. So that would have been cool, but at the same time, I mean...
It's too bad they couldn't stick a screen up outside.
Yeah, we could have done done the stuff at like Frontier Field. That would have been kind of fun.
That would have been neat. And also, Fairport had its Canals days. The only reason I know is my friend Meg Williams played there. And what they did, it was virtual, so they had a bunch of bands on Friday, and you streamed them.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they're going to just have the schedules streaming now. And I wonder too, then if you'll be able to you won't be able to miss. You won't have to miss events.
Yeah, you can watch whatever you want.
Because that's like me. I'm actually, my friend does a radio show today. I'm going to miss it. I just go back and watch it.
Yeah. You won't get the electricity of the live.
And you'll be able to give. There'll be links to donate. Hopefully, too.
Sure.
Give a little because I'm not rich.
Right.
And hopefully, Brave New World is something I also think. A friend of mine said when this first happened, because of 9/11, he was his old hat working at home.
Yeah.
So I think, I don't want to predict where this is going to go. It's sort of foolhardy at the moment.
Right.
We try to make the best of it, and hopefully, I'm not going to say 2021 is going to be better.
Right.
I don't want to talk about politics because nobody will listen anymore. Nobody wants that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I got my mail-in absentee thing, and I sent it in. I don't think somebody went in the mailbox and stole it and took my name. Or
I'll go vote in person. I mean, it's not like we live in a swing state, so.
No, I told people that it's like, okay, like say I lived in Iowa or something, but my vote, I kind of know who's probably gonna win the state, so it's not like. Well, you stayed home and so lost by one vote because you.
Yeah, it's going to come down to those swing states. So.
Yeah, but there's a comfort for that. Whereas, if I, and it's not on our shoulders as much. But he'll come back hopefully since you're going to be in town.
Yeah, no,
cool.
I'm touched that you want to listen to me babble for an
hour.
Oh,
when we can have more guests because as I've said right now, we limit the guests because of we're trying to be good and yes, it's going down, but.
Yeah. I think we're only 3.5 feet apart right here.
So but I think we're okay.
Yeah. So.
We're farther apart. But I'm going to play something. You're not a musician, so
right.
I have my friends, the Fox Sisters, and I want to play. There's no reason I'm playing this really that relates to movies. I just felt like, what the heck, I'll play it because All the Young Dudes was flying in my head this morning for whatever reason. So here's their song from their album, Under the Stars, and I guess they're working on a new one. And when there are live shows, go see them because they're just entertaining and great. But this is a cut called Boogaloo Dudes by the Fox Sisters. So thanks, Greg, and happy filmmaking, and have a good year.
Thank you, sir.
See ya.
Well, they're strutting down the street, moving to the city beat. Here they come, all the lights are blue. Here they come, the Boogaloo Dudes. The peacocks at the door. Yeah, they're on the ceiling and the floor, headed out to the door. They're gonna promenade, looking for a disco. On their feet is Crisco. You know they never